Greetings and welcome to the ASTROLABE. Astrolabians unite. Apparently Elon and Rogan just dropped a new episode. So, man, my schedule just stays full. They're going to be wondering why their viewership took so long to take off after it dropped. They didn't know that the ASTROLABE was about to go live and suck away such a huge chunk of their viewership. Welcome to the show, folks. I've got a last Trump rally ever day stream for you guys, and in honor of that, I'm not going to be able to watch the rally, but I understand that we have some astrolabians who are driving there at the moment. They'll be able to report live for us, but in honor of our great and fearless leader and his wonderful campaigning for us. The last 8 years are coming to a close, and we will never see another Trump campaign for president again. We may see a Trump campaign for J.D. Vance president, but that's if we even have presidents and campaigns. Who knows what's going to happen? We're at an exciting time. We're at a great dividing point in American history. Hold on just a second here. I'm tracking a conversation I may need to respond to here. No. Sorry, guys. This is bad podcasting, I know, but gotta address something here. I was supposed to have a meeting with a company meeting here in an hour, actually, and I got my times all mixed up, and I just got down a deep hole, a bunch of deep holes, actually, preparing for the show, and I was just like in get Astrolabe done mode, and then meeting was just after Astrolabe, but I didn't realize how late it had gotten relative to that. So trying to sort out how long this Astrolabe is going to be. If I need to cut it short, then I have a couple spots here where I can cut it off and fast forward some content or do it a little longer. I'm going to be wrapping the show today with I just gratuitously just crammed as many Trump clips, unique Trump clips that I could find, and we're gonna celebrate this day. And then I've got some polling updates, a whole bunch of stuff about voter fraud and court cases, and let's see what else was in there. There was some last polling updates. So I'm going to address the Iowa poll. I had a few people that asked me about that. Completely not concerned about it. It's one of the fakest polls of all time. And then I've also got some really good videos, a bunch of random content. Going to talk about Stormy's conversation with Pete a little bit. So, got a whole bunch to get through. So do me a favor and hit the like button, and feel free to send a super chat. We are super chat eligible. And if you'd like to support the show, you like what I'm doing here, I'm doing this regularly, and in the meantime, also building a bunch more stuff for you guys in the background. So any little bit you guys can contribute helps a lot. So super chats, go to kingpill.com and sign up for the Kingpill Discord. Come join us there. Many are saying it's the best Discord community on the planet. And we've got a bunch of the best and smartest people that I know, and that's where I spend the majority. That's like my social circle now is essentially the Kingpill Discord. So I'm there regularly, and if you'd like to interact and join the great people there and get all the great benefits associated with it, then kingpill.com is the place to go. And yeah, let's see here. Last other thing was buymeacoffee.com/kingpilled, and there's a link to that in the description. All right, enough shilling. Let's get the show on the road. Okay, gotta open the tab, close the tab. There it is. Now this one I've seen go around a few times, but every time I see it, I have to stop and watch the whole thing. I love this whole category of I don't know, like prank kind of or whatever. Like these, like what was the one recently that was like you had to hold a mouthful of water and then slap each other in the face with tortillas, and it's just freaking hilarious. I just love this kind of stuff. So I saved this one. This is one of the best ones I've ever seen. This poor dad didn't move one time.
Stand up.
I'm scared. Oh! What the hell? Is this what? Is some? Are you guys?
You have to duck down.
What?
You have to duck down.
What?
You have to think about when it's coming to you and duck down.
Oh, that first one hit me right in the mouth. What kind? Oh, Jesus! You told me it was coming from this way. Which? Oh! What? What the?
Duck down.
I don't. Nikki doesn't even.
You need a bigger room.
Nikki doesn't even have her. Jesus. Oh, there's more than one. How many bottles? Oh. What? Nikki doesn't have her blindfold on.
Yes, she does.
You could tell that was going to be a big one.
I think if I duck down, I have to hit one.
No, you won't.
Oh!
Okay, I'm done.
Biblical Anarchy podcast. What's up, man? He says this is performance art of me trying to not vote for Trump for the past year. Welcome to the voting for Trump club, Biblical Anarchy. This dude went and got himself a retweet from Elon. Last I saw, that tweet had like 30 million views on it. My dude, you better be monetizing Twitter. You just got the mother of all boosts. Good for you, man. He wrote about why he, as a libertarian, is going to be voting for Trump, and it has to do in large part with Ron Paul being rumored to be joining the Doge with Elon. Shout out to David Gronowski. He's done a very good job putting that whole thing together, which is great evidence of how our little corner of the internet can make this sort of thing happen. Okay, you guys, I should have saved this one just for you guys. I'm surprised I didn't see more people. I had one person send it to me, but I'm surprised I didn't get it from more people. I'm hoping that means that most of you haven't seen this. 1.2 million, it might not have made like full penetration into our world, but this is tailor-made for the ASTROLABE.
Hey, Ro, tell Miss Carnes who you are for Halloween.
Okay, let's see. Come on. You know, when they took a shot at my hero, and they tried to kill the next president of the United States, enough was enough, and I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again. Woo!
He owned it. HH is in the chat. All right, another one. Another just is our guys stacking up W's is just becoming the most regular occurrence. Dissident soap. So first of all, Sumerian pervert wrote the lyrics to a song that is just a distillation of right-wing Twitter culture. If you guys aren't on Twitter, this is basically going to give you just a complete distillation of right-wing Twitter culture. Why you need to be there. If you're not on Twitter, what are you doing? Like, It's where everything happens. They're even starting to get me to say X sometimes. It's the place to go. This here is an absolute, just meteoric banger.
Virginia Chad, Button Wilson's Iliad, anti-vax, coal burn attacks, New York Post word for blacks, women on the podcast scene, Joe Biden's eating ice cream. Oh yeah, yeah. Asians eating cats in town, Baltimore Bridge falling down, Tronnies in the magazines, MAGA's got a drag queen, Elon's rocking Twitter ban, Nick Flanders trust the plan, sober raw, eggs the ADL, Greenblatt, rapies and tweet trouble in the group chat. We didn't start the fire, it was always burning since the world's been turning. We didn't start the fire, no we didn't light it, but we tried to fight it. Wife yak, Substack, JD Vance, they're going back, touch grass, white chain, kids cutting off their way. ISS breach hull going in the crystal, internet trad wives, we're checking early life. E-girls inbox, DMing your face thoughts, can of integrity in the physiognomy. Your husband's got a cat girl. We didn't start the fire, it was always burning since the world's been turning. We didn't start the fire, no we didn't light it, but we tried to fight it. Mobug Joker 2, Constant Alamariu, left good to mention Joe Hagel is a no-go. Yo, Jew, the site's free at Revan to Kaczynski, Rosenbaum, gross screws, Kenosha, pedo, turkey shoe. Riots, migrants, biomass, crime wave, Harris, cackle, Biden's killer lemonade, garbage truck, McDonald's drive, serving up hot fries, RFK, Tinwell State. What else do I have to say? We didn't start the fire, it was always burning since the world's been turning. We didn't start the fire, no we didn't light it, but we tried to fight it. Birth control, women mad, Donald Trump back again, Troon shot, got popped, Fortnite dance, dudes rock, Neely Penny subway train, choked down on the F lane, Ayatollahs in Iran, US flees Afghanistan, Roasties playing chase, Cernovic described the taste, liminal dildo, Jack Murphy did a porno, mulatto babies on the floor, I can't take it anymore. We didn't start the fire, it was always burning since the world's been turning. We didn't start the fire, no we didn't light it, but we tried to fight it. Oh yeah, yeah.
Only problem with that song is it's not long enough. What an absolutely brilliant piece of culture. Being able to explain all the references should be a litmus test for our guys. I'd rather explain my folder full of Hitler memes to a normie than explain this song. Oh, man. I've been looking forward to showing that to you guys. See, Isak says, is that how you pronounce your name? Do you say Isaac or is it like Isak? I assume it's like Isak. He says, I wish someone had actually remixed this instead of running through AI. Sounds like ass, to be honest. Well, see, that's part of the point. It's kind of like it has to sound a little bit like ass to really be truly on point. Like it has to be a little shitty. Like it's a song that's loved by people that are kind of shitty. Like this Billy Joel is like Beltway music. So like we're going to take your shit and we're going to reappropriate it and we're going to do it in a really catchy way and we're even going to make it kind of shitty while we do it. That's what just it's deep fried. You can have like deep fried memes. It's like a deep fried meme for your ears. Isaac, okay. All right. Let's move this along here because I gotta wrap up sooner rather than later. Joe Rogan had John Fetterman on. I haven't watched it yet. I don't think I'm going to watch it, just because I don't know if I can. I have so many things I have to put through my head that I don't know if I can justify sitting through the whole thing. I'll get the highlights on this one, but I can't get enough John Fetterman. I guess I could get enough because I'm not going to sit through the thing, but John Fetterman being a phenomenon, I can't get enough of that. It's wonderful. Just the beginning of this video had me in stitches. Cooper and I were watching this together and crying, laughing at it.
Are you the only guy that figured out that you don't have to wear suits when you're a senator?
Yeah, no, it's. I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, are you the only guy that figured out that you don't have to wear suits as a senator?
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I know it seems strange, but it's like, I mean, I'm a bigger guy, and I can't afford custom anyway, and I'm claustrophobic, and I hate them being in that kind of shit, and I've always dressed like shit, and you know, and I know, and then that whole thing kind of got away of us. People assumed that there was a dress code issue there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I wasn't behind that. But of course, everybody pointed at the dude that dresses like a slob. And then the whole nation just had like a meltdown, like, oh my God, the Senate's on fire because I dress like a slob. But my life is just much better in DC, that unless that I'm going to be on the floor, that I'm not going to be, you're never going to see me in a suit. And I think that's a more authentic kind of way that I live. And I don't judge anybody on how they dress or those things. I just dress this way. And there's also practical issues as well, too. Like I have chopstick legs and I have no ass and I can't keep pants on. and hoodies, it's like I don't have to iron that shit.
You know, if I had to choose between voting for this guy and voting for Dr. Oz, I would probably vote for this guy. Like, if I actually lived there and it really mattered to me, I would probably vote for this guy. He's a stroke victim with literal brain damage, and he's more coherent and sensible than Kamala. Yeah, like, I don't think that he's long for the Democratic Party. I just don't see how it's going to happen. Either the only way he stays a Democrat, I think, is if he owns the Democrat Party. Like, if he somehow becomes the new Joe Biden kind of, or something along those lines, where he's just sort of the careerist that just kind of owns the party and everybody just follows him, and it's just kind of that way. Like, that's the only way I can see him staying with the Democrats, because he just doesn't fit with the party at all. He could make suspenders great again. Yeah. Like, I could see him getting older and then like really leaning into like wearing suspenders and getting all kind of like sort of dressing up in his own way, sort of redefining his own style. He's just a funny guy. He just is really natural and kind of relatable, and is starting to develop this reputation for just saying it like it is, just kind of telling the truth. Let's say I would be very, very happy in a world where he represented the spirit of the Democrat Party. I have to make sure I go out of my way to say the Democrat Party, just to make it clear that I look upon them with contempt and derision. Peanut the Squirrel. I know a lot of people have this. This is one of those memes that actually penetrated out into the normie world, and even pretty extensively into the normie world. I've talked about it with a few of my friends who aren't like super politically inclined. They don't stay totally up to date on every single meme, but they knew like all the details of it. They were like, "Oh yeah, did you hear about that?" It was like, and I would kind of say, "Yeah, did you hear this part?" "Oh yeah, totally." And I was like, "Oh, wow, okay." So this story was just the absolute predominating meme for, what was it? Was it Saturday? All the days blend together for me. I think it was Saturday. It was just the dominant meme across all of like normie Twitter, everywhere. And this video here basically sums up the whole story pretty well. So I'll play this. For anybody who maybe just didn't hear about it, I know that if I didn't talk about it, it'd be like, how did you not talk about the biggest story? So I'll talk about it here.
We just learned that they have euthanized Peanut.
And the raccoon as well.
And the raccoon as well. I am so sorry. This must be really difficult for you.
It not only tears my family apart, but Peanut was the cornerstone of our nonprofit animal rescue.
This is a real story. Like this is an actual real news story. This isn't some like bit from an improv show or something like that. This is a real life story. This is like watching this video is like the first time I watched that frickin' Jew climb up out of the tunnel, and I was like, what in God's green earth is happening right now? How is this thing trending? How is this a real story that's actually trending in the actual news and not an elaborate like Sam Hyde bit or something?
And 10 to 12 DEC officers raided my house as if I was a drug dealer. I was sat outside my house for 5 hours. I had to get a police escort to my bathroom. I wasn't even allowed to feed my rescue horses breakfast or lunch. I was sat there like a criminal. After they interrogated my wife to check out her immigration status, then proceeded to ask me if I had cameras in my house. Then proceeded to go through every cabinet, nook, and cranny of my house for a squirrel and a raccoon.
They got a search warrant?
This is like a whitest kids you know skit. Like literally, if you wrote this script down to me and I read it, I would think I was reading the script for like a comedy skit. Like something from The Office or something like that. But it's like this is an actual news story. How does the time that we live in actually exist? Like how is this real?
They got a search warrant. 4 departments and a judge signed off on a search warrant for a squirrel and a raccoon. And then they took them and killed them.
Why did they go through all that to get a search warrant for an animal that had been with you very safely, and the world witnessed this for 7 years? Why now suddenly did they show up with a search warrant and take these animals?
We haven't a clue. We don't know who made the complaints. Again, Peanut was an indoor squirrel, not harming anybody. He's been with us for 7 years. Not a single complaint was ever filed for this animal. We had him for 7.5 years. He became the world's most famous squirrel. We weren't hiding him by any means. He was all over TikTok. He became the first squirrel on TikTok to ever hit 1 million followers. He did every news station around the world. He's helped people. He's helped kids gather joy. And then we started a nonprofit animal rescue called Peanut's Freedom Farm to help animals like Peanut fight a good fight when they're in a neglected case or they're sitting in a slaughter auction. And he was the cornerstone of our life and our organization. We used his platform to help raise money for the 300 animals we have at our sanctuary.
Oh, man. We live in such a great time. I can't believe a story like this can actually come into existence to illustrate the just absolute absurdity of the anarcho-tyranny of the existing managerial instinct. It's just legendary. This woman who did this woman who called this in to report it, was from Texas. This is in New York or in DC. I don't remember. It was up in the Northeast. And this woman was in Texas. And she called it in to report it. And they actually got a warrant and ransacked the guy's place. Questioned his wife on her immigration status. Wow. Probably because she's German and looks like it. That's the only reason that they were actually questioning her immigration status. And then they euthanize the things. Just the absolute barbarity of the managerial mindset on full display. And instantly it was like everyone grabbed onto it and just had the exact same impression at the same time. Like, what the fuck is this about? Why are you breaking into someone's house and killing their pets? In New York. You don't have other things to do in New York? It's turning into an absolute shithole and people are fleeing. And you're breaking into someone's house, ransacking it, and killing their pets. And not like accidentally, like as a matter of purpose. It's no wonder this is collapsing. I've got a thing about political report from on the ground in New York later. We'll get to that here in a little bit. This is a story here that I'm going to save for another day. And instead, we're going to go straight to this video. To the people who killed Peanut, you have one day. I'm going to save this because I need to go find that whole song. I need that just playing round the clock in my ears. Perhaps I will hear that playing round the clock in my ears sometime soon. That's what we call a tease. Okay. Let's get to this one here. So this woman, Esther Crawford, posted this tweet. She said, "My mom is nearly 80 and has started worrying about how long she has left on her own. I looked up assisted living places near me, and it's even more expensive than I'd imagined. The one closest to my house is $9,000 a month for a studio, and that's the independent living option." Amy Nixon said, this is reality for so many elderly Americans. It's absolute insanity. The great wealth transfer will be boomers to healthcare institutions, not boomers to millennials." And Fentasil here says the replies to this are so dark. 1, my parents sold everything they owned to afford $2 million of $10,000 a month elder care. 2, my parents hired an estate lawyer and put their $2 million of assets in a trust for us kids, and Medicaid paid for their $10,000 a month elder care. 3, I spent my retirement on $10,000 a month elder care for my parents. The problem is only going to grow over the next 10 to 20 years. He said, and this is another tweet of his, he said, "It'd be a lot cheaper for America to outsource our boomers to third world nursing homes than to import third worlders to take care of boomers in HCOL America. We can call it foreign aid and pay for it out of state USAID budget. Margaritaville, El Salvador." And see, shout out to this guy for bringing it up, and obviously he's memeing here a little bit, but this is exactly the wrong takeaway from this. The correct takeaway is that we need to redeem the boomers, not punish them, because they were defrauded into this system as well. And of course they want what they've been promised. The problem isn't with them wanting what they've been promised. The problem is with the people who keep promising it to them, even though it's now a lie and it can't be promised. That's the problem. And some of that problem is just some of these types of problems you just can't solve. You can't solve it directly. You can't wave a magic wand and come up with the perfect solution to it, or even like try to bludgeon it into place. Some problems only solve when people die off. And that's just a fact of reality. That doesn't mean then that this is like precisely the point of Christ's incarnation. That doesn't mean that then you just, okay, well, let's just kill them then and accelerate that process. It just, no, our responsibility is we need to redeem our parents by stepping up where they stepped down. And I would make it very clear, I'm not saying this about my parents. I'm saying our parents collectively, like our generational parents. We have to step up where they didn't, and that's how we redeem them. The good news is there is a very good chance that this could become much more achievable than it currently seems, and a lot faster than you might think. So this is a conversation you guys absolutely must listen to. This is it was a stream on X between Pete Quinones and Stormy Waters. The Trump economy, a fashtastic Listian vision with Stormy Waters. It's going to be, I've heard that Pete said it's going to be uploaded to the podcast feed, may have even been already. I'm not sure. But I watched it the night right after they recorded it. I was busy during it, but I went back and listened to it right afterwards. And first of all, I got to say, X needs to step up the whole the audio, video, producer, creator quality of experience just a little bit. I'm saying this constructively. Like, I am eager and ready to move the bulk of my listening and production traffic to X, but it just needs a little bit more. Like in this particular case, really, there's a space and someone plays it, and then I'm re-listening to it, and I can't speed it up at all. There's no like speed control. Don't you realize some of us have lots of stuff we have to listen to? We're listening to lots and lots of things all the time. We need to be able to get that 2x stuff going. Anyways, I see Straight Buster says it's on Spotify already. Great. Go listen to it. Just go listen to it. Stormy and Pete reference the Howard Lutnick conversation that I told you guys about last week. The one with Pompliano. It says something, it's got a really clickbaity title. It's something like how tariffs and Bitcoin are going to make you rich or something along those lines. So Howard Lutnick is the head of the Trump, or the co-chair or co-head of the Trump transition team and the Doge, which he's going to be leading with Elon Musk. He's the chairman and CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald and an absolutely fascinating man. I remember we first talked about him back in like, I don't know, April maybe, because there was a video that was leaked of Trump meeting at the Cantor Fitzgerald office and Howard Lutnick standing next to him and talking to him and introducing him. And I don't remember what the event was for. It might have been on 9/11. That's when it was. I think it was on 9/11. They were there for 9/11. And I had just listened to one of the things where Stormy was talking about to pay attention for the guys who are both chairman and CEO of a company, especially if they've been there for a really long time. Because typically you're not dealing with a run-of-the-mill sort of bureaucrat. You're dealing with a guy who has actual power, who actually controls that company and likely isn't hurting for money and is thus very concerned about his legacy. And so he's making moves on a legacy level, not on just a like make money level. I just listened to that, and then this Howard Lutnick guy popped up, and I was like, huh, interesting. A chairman and CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald. Huh. And then here he goes, he pops up again now, getting very, very public. And the stuff that he's talking about, if this is the way the Trump campaign is thinking, and it is. There's been inklings of this, or you could kind of put the pieces together if you're looking at the platform and you're looking at all the different people that are assembling and you kind of consider all of their cross investments with one another. And and like not just actual explicit investments, but how much they're invested in each other's visions and how much their incentives align, particularly around protecting the economic and political sovereignty of the United States, and for United States capital to be able to dictate the future of the United States without being used as and controlled through proxies. This is what they've been thinking about. And if this is the case, as it very much is, now we have him actually coming out and talking about this openly. And what Stormy pointed out is, he says there's a lot more to Trump's econ policy proposals than meets the eye. It's not just getting rid of the income tax. And he mentions, Lutnick mentions in that video, that what they're looking at is moving the income tax to nobody is subject to income tax under $150K a year. The income tax doesn't kick in until $150K. Now, you guys, if you've been watching for a while, you've seen we've been highlighting how there's all these examples of little things that they're doing, like offering tax credits, no tax credits for homeschooling, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, tax credits for people who are staying at home and caring for an elderly loved one. Remember the thing about the people in the old folks home? Well, if you start incentivizing people to take care of them, you could start building a culture of people taking their own family members and taking care of them. So with each of these little things, they're effectively whittling away from the effective income tax, which is sort of like informally removing it versus just saying 150K and up, and that's it. So this is one of the things, one of the pillars. It's not just tariffs. It is tariffs. And they're very, like, this is one of the things that mass deportations and tariffs are like the primary focuses that, you know, if all else fails, mass deportations and tariffs are the things that they're driving at. So tariffs is something we can take very seriously. It's not just onshoring. It's not just infrastructure spend. It's not just government budget slashing. It's what happens when when these all combine. So in particular, lowering energy costs or increasing energy supply, tariffs, and the income tax, and then add in the infrastructure spending and the government budget slashing. All of those things together create a really potent combination for really explosive growth really fast. So there's the potential, this potential exists out there. And if they're like the extent to which they're free to pursue this agenda, I think is like the determining factor here, not their will to do it. Those things are connected, but this seems to be a very clear focus, and this is part of why so many powerful and wealthy interests have begun to pivot around and align themselves with Trump. This among other things. But there's people who are starting to read the tea leaves here and recognize that if you own anything American, or if you want to buy anything American or build anything American, it's about to get really, really easy in the United States. Or relative to what it is now. So if you want to be cynical about a lot of the elites and consider them just kind of opportunists who are driven by greed, this is a very big greed play. It just happens to be a big greed play that can be very good for us as well. Super chat here from See You in the Camp, $10. Cold hard American cash. He says, hello, King Pilled. I'm at a bar in Commie Duluth, Minnesota, LARPing as a Cilantro Harris voter with the locals, and I'm having a blast. They're absolutely not ready for what's coming. You're kind of like the guy who's sitting in the corner meme, where he's like, they don't know what's coming. It's flipping it on him. Oh, that's great. So go listen to this conversation. This is an absolute must listen. Many are saying it's extremely white pilling. And here's a related one from Stormy. Headline from Reuters, July 4. Trump presidency would cause spike in U.S. bond yields, says Edmond de Rothschild investment boss. And Stormy says, yes, it will. Trump will spike U.S. bond yields, and that ocean of global capital will pour in chasing after it. And our capital markets are so deep that we will drain every drop. It's high time we drain the vampires of their blood instead. Get fucked, usury bros. God loves America. Hell yes. Europe is, I feel sorry for our Europors, genuinely. We love you guys. Genuinely feel for you. But it's going to get real rough there. It's going to get real rough everywhere, but it's going to get real rough in Europe. This is from Eric S. Raymond. He says, you can just make things. This is my massive white pill about the revolution in small-scale manufacturing that's going on right now. The immediate trigger is a story I read about a guy who was annoyed that his wife needed a wheelchair and the designs were all crappy and hideously expensive and made in China. So he booted up a small factory that now builds custom wheelchairs, delivering them for about $1,000 a pop, undercutting the Chinese by a factor of 5. The context, though, is something that's been going on since the first mass-market 3D printers in 2009. We've had more than a decade now in which many of the people who would have become part of the hacker culture I came up in back when software was the cutting edge have been learning how to use FDM printers, desktop CNC mills, laser cutters, EDM machines, and all kinds of physical fabrication techniques that you can set up in a garage or a basement. The lesson has had time to sink in. If you're clever about it, you can hack matter the way we learned how to hack code. High speed, low drag, flexibly and playfully. You can just make things without bimpity-bump millions of dollars of startup capital. With the new tech, you can start small, turn a profit on boutique items, and scale up organically. SpaceX is part of this story, using rapid iterations of custom designs made with 3D printing and sintered metal to continuously improve and simplify their rocket engines. So are Defense Distributed and the other semi-underground firearms fabrication anarchists. So are the people who figured out how to garage build respirators during the COVID panic. And so now is Jerry Rig Everything, the YouTuber who built a wheelchair factory. The software revolution of a quarter century ago was fueled by Dennard scaling, driving down the cost of compute power and wide area networking. Suddenly you could do things on a desktop that had taken raised floors and dedicated computer rooms just a few years before. Hackers grabbed these new possibilities and ran with them. I helped the movement understand itself. I see it very like that happening again now. But instead of the demassification of software, we're seeing the demassification of manufacturing. The new hackers are being playful with atoms rather than bits. Where have you heard that comparison before? But the same spirit is there. I can feel it every time I wander into a makerspace. These kids are not going to be stopped. There's too much fun to be had, too many brains chasing every problem in sight. If my hacker culture didn't still exist, it would make me all nostalgic to watch them. But no, the old hacker culture and the new one flow together at the edges. The apprentice I'm teaching systems programming to has a side hustle printing models for mail order customers. The kids put their part designs in public repositories. They didn't have to discover open source and distributed collaboration. They grew up absorbing both through their pores, which has the accidental result that though I'm not leading things and writing manifestos this time, I'm one of their culture heroes anyway. That feels nice, I won't deny it. And you ain't seen nothing yet. FDM and other small-scale fabrication technologies are attracting enough attention to improve at a torrid pace. There are obvious synergies with robotics and deep learning that haven't kicked in yet. Or maybe they already have in somebody's garage and we'll find out about it next week or next month. It's a swarm attack, a disruption from below, and lots of conventional large-scale manufacturing outfits are going to suffer the fate of massified Chinese wheelchair factories. They just don't know it yet. They'll be undercut by cheaper, lighter, faster, smarter, custom, and localized. Somewhere Buckminster Fuller is whispering ephemeralization and smiling. This guy says, my teenager is part of this. His 3D modeling and printing skills are impressive. How can I help him expand into CNC, etc.? Any good guides? He says, sorry, I'm only watching from the sidelines. I'm not an expert on where to find the tutorials. But I read you this. If you have not listened to the conversation between Stormy and Pete yet, if you have listened to it, then you're probably spazzing out internally the way that I am when I hear this. If you haven't yet, go listen to that and then come back and listen to this, or go read this tweet again. It'll be linked in the master thread after the show. Look at what's happening here and pair that with an incoming political administration that's prioritizing bootstrapping and rapidly onshoring U.S. manufacturing as quickly as possible. If you are in any sort of, or you are able to get into any sort of domestic manufacturing business, whether starting your own or joining up with someone else who has the skills and work and doing something for them. If you have a guy that's great with CNC, but he just kind of works a 9 to 5 or whatever, and you could figure out how to get him to be your partner to go in on something, there's about to be a tremendous amount of capital available for that and a lot of regulation getting out of the way. And the likelihood of it being successful depends upon how likely and how likely it's looking early on, which depends on how quickly it's adopted by the populace. This is adjacent to the Gundo phenomenon. This is like Gundo, except not just with military tech, not just physical military tech, but this is like physical, just general production Gundo, the Gundo phenomenon going into general manufacturing and production. This is a very great opportunity for our guys to start making a nut. These images are these images of the kings are the history of Spain. So there was a flood that killed hundreds of people in Spain last week when politicians finally came to visit. Angry crowds threw mud and bottles. Pedro Sanchez, the Pinko prime minister, fled with his security detail. The king stepped into the crowd to hear their anger and grieve with them. Look at these images. This is the king right here. The king of Spain and the queen. These are incredibly powerful. This is what a king looks like. What occurred in Paiporta today was a potent allegory of the post and pre-revolutionary worlds. While the democratically elected government fled at the first hint of trouble, the king and queen stayed, looked their people in the eye, and embraced them. Look at that. The only place that you ever see anything really comparable to this right now, interestingly, is at Trump rallies with Trump. It's the only time that you ever see high-class people down in amongst the people and engaging with them in a really personable, like avuncular, grandfatherly sort of way. This is powerful stuff. Like, do you think that the king is more powerful today than he was yesterday or this was a couple days ago, I think? He's more powerful now than he was then. That's what kingship looks like. Speaking of another monarch of sorts, New York Times owner, so TechCrunch reports that Perplexity CEO offers to replace striking New York Times staff with AI. What a troll. Hey, bro, I'll replace your staff with AI. The content that your staff produces could be produced by my robots. I listened to a podcast several months ago about a guy, I'm trying to remember who it was, but he's like, this is what he does. Is like adapting AI to different industries and stuff. And he said one industry that's absolutely primed for being annihilated by AI is journalism, like reporting type journalism, just like reporting on the news. It's something that can easily be done by an algorithm that is just scraping for stories, maybe checking for popularity metrics, and then you could just teach it to write in the proper format, and it'll just give it like some tone qualifiers or whatever. Be very, very easy to do. And it would cost vastly less than, and would be a whole hell of a lot less of a headache than managing all these people. And I think it's something like this is going to start happening. It's going to. There's going to be a few outlets that remain. The rest of them are all going to get automated. The New York Times would be one that maybe could stay because of its like historic legacy status. But I mean, the industry as a whole is getting disrupted. I don't even know to what extent the industry is going to remain, much less individual players within it. They're going to have to like kind of adapt and change to something different, which they can do. But David Sachs says New York Times owner A.G. Salzberger should take this offer seriously. The truth is that writing left-wing propaganda for his clickbait farm is a fairly low-skill job. AI could do it easily and better. I guarantee you that David Sachs was chuckling to himself. He was like, as he fired that one off. Naval says, this is still the best tweet about Elon buying Twitter. And this is from G. Fodor. He said, I still think it's hilarious that he being Elon, and I still think it's hilarious that he noticed you could simply buy the government's 80% completed Death Star. Yes, definitely the best tweet about Elon buying Twitter. We're going to keep this moving forward. Got to keep an eye on the time here. So I've got a handful of videos. Stuff about various different celebrities in general. Celebrities, business people, famous people. Some are funny, some are informative. So I've got a handful of these here. First one is Mike Tyson saying he's voting for Trump.
If I'm voting for Trump, so what somebody's going to do about it? I don't think anybody, I mean, I'm going to disagree with you. So what? What are you going to do?
He's one of the good ones. So what? What are you going to do? Marty O'Donnell. I don't put much stock in celebrity endorsements, and I'm a pretty minor celebrity, but I was audio director composer for 5 Halo games in Destiny 1. You might remember these menu screens. I'm voting for Trump, and you should too. Hashtag gamers for Trump. We still, we have honed our ability to meme things meme things up to the campaign. We've kind of honed that over the last couple of months. I think we might need to revisit this whole get the campaign to walk out at an event to the Halo theme music or like a JD Vance thing. We might still have time. We need to make it happen. Citadel CEO Ken Griffin, a quote from him.
The expectation today is that Donald Trump will win the White House in just a few days. We'll know shortly. And big picture, the reduction in uncertainty is almost always positive for asset prices. And we're at that moment of peak uncertainty. It is a race that Trump is favored to win, but it's almost a coin toss. So I would say that post-election, we'll generally see a risk-on environment as people come to adopt a new regime, whether it's a Harris regime or a Trump regime.
Whether it's a what? A new regime? Whether it's a Harris regime or a Trump regime? Since when do the very fine professional people refer to presidential administrations as regimes? That's a very interesting turn of phrase.
This uncertainty will be behind us.
What do you know, Ken Griffin? This was at the Future Investment Initiative Institute. Holy crap. Future Investment Initiative Institute, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, October 29th. See you in the camp, another $2. He says, Megyn Kelly will be speaking at Trump's last rally. I saw that. That's going to be awesome. The crowd is going to go nuts. They're going to absolutely love her. And I bet you she's probably going to cry. Maybe she won't. She's gotten herself pretty emotional recently on the show, talking about all the fondness and the times coming to an end and stuff. You can tell that she really, really feels it. I wouldn't be surprised if she gets emotional there at the event. It's going to be an emotional event. And then there was back here, I missed another one. $2 from Rethuglican. He says, Jamie Dimon and wife has started stumping for Dems. Is there another story other than the one where someone privately close to him leaked saying that he expected, or that he totally supported Kamala Harris or something and wanted a cabinet position? Has there been anything other than that? Because that was a nothing burger. And I would take anything that Jamie Dimon is saying publicly with a lot of salt, a lot of grains of salt. Okay. I wanted to share this one here. So I tweeted this out this morning because I was listening to the Trump and Tucker episode, which is 3 hours long. It's got Nicole Shanahan and Callie Means and Mike Lee. It's got a bunch of people speaking, and RFK was speaking. So I'm just kind of listening along as he's talking. And then this clip here, just everything that happened in this clip totally made me sit up straight and go, whoa, hold on a second.
Any of the schools that I went to, that had a peanut allergy, or food allergies, or eczema. My brother had asthma, and he was told by his doctor there will never be a cure for asthma because it's so rare that nobody will ever study it. Today, 1 out of every 8 black children in America's cities has asthma. What is happening to our children? And I saw this happening, and I began writing about it, and the media rose up and silenced me in 2005. And nobody would talk about it. The doctors wouldn't talk about it. The pediatricians wouldn't talk about it. The scientists, the government officials. And people warned me, if you keep talking about this, you're going to destroy your career. And I was stunned by this. And for 19 years, since 2005, I spend 30 minutes praying every day when I get out of bed. And
So when he said I spend 30 minutes praying every morning, I was like, wow, okay. And then he gets a long standing ovation. This is the MAGA movement is becoming an explicitly Christian movement. Now, given the nature of political movements and religions, it's not. It's kind of like in the uncanny valley of like religions. Its religious appeal or appearance is kind of little uncanny valley. But the people who are in there who are experiencing that, they're genuinely having a positive spiritual experience. And it's very good to see getting up in the morning and praying for half an hour, whether or not it's true, leave aside all this, which God is he praying to and whatever else. Just the mere fact that him saying he gets up and prays every morning gets a long-standing ovation from Republicans. That's a significant thing. And even him talking about this, he gets up and he prays. And he's talked about this a lot. He's done this at length. This isn't just like kind of a shtick for him. He's very open about this. Yeah, RFK looks poleaxed. He's not used to religious talk getting such support. Right.
And my prayer is this. I ask God for 19 years to put me in a position where I could end the chronic disease epidemic and bring health back to our children. And in August, God sent me Donald Trump.
I asked God for 19 years to put me in a position where I could end the chronic disease epidemic and bring health back to our children. And in August, God sent me Donald Trump. I like this. Here is Tucker, who's, I was going to say his radicalization is coming along nicely, but it's not really that he's getting radicalized. He's getting normalized. His normalization is coming along quite nicely. Here's him talking with Steve Bannon.
My dad and the greatest generation fought on the battlefields of that conflict and were one of the driving forces with obviously the Russian people and the Chinese people to deliver us from that time from Imperial Japan and fascist rule in Europe. But at the same time, Oppenheimer, and this is what's so chilling when you say about secular, he used, I think it was Hindu god Vishnu. They called the project the Trinity Project, right? And at the very test there in New Mexico, he quoted what the god Vishnu about now. I'm the destroyer of worlds, right? Don't you find that chilling, or is that tied to your? Since that time, it's been we've now dropped the spiritual, which even Oppenheimer realized in The Greatest Generation. We kind of went to what is a totally materialistic secular society that leads America to this place in 2024, and the instrument of its turnaround or its rejuvenation is a guy like Donald Trump.
Well, we didn't drop the spiritual. We just embraced, another element of it. I mean, if you're quoting a pagan god as you're incinerating civilians with a nuclear weapon, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that was the pivot point in America's history. And it's just so interesting how resistant a lot of people who I consider friends, who I agree with on most things, are to acknowledging that. To call you a pro-Hitler, you're a Holocaust denier if you question the nuclear weapons or whatever. I don't care. Of course, I'm none of those things. It goes without saying, or it should. No, I'm just noting the obvious, which is that American society changed profoundly in August of 1945, and it's reflected in the culture, it's reflected in the architecture, the art, the design, the literature. Nothing was the same after the end of the Second World War. Again, it's not a pro-Nazi statement. I couldn't be more anti-Nazi. Obviously, I'm an American. I care about this country and what happened to it after 1945. It's a very clear demarcation line, and it seems obvious to me that nuclear weapons are demonic. There's no upside to them at all, and that anyone who claims otherwise is either ignorant or doing the bidding of the forces that created nuclear technology in the first place, which are not human forces, obviously. And let me just ask you this, which I've asked a million people at dinner parties, but never in public. What was the moment we can point to that nuclear technology was invented? We can point to Isaac Newton and say, well, an apple fell on his head, or we can point to Albert Hoffman in his lab messing around with the, ergot bacteria. That's when LSD was made. I've never met a person who can isolate the moment where nuclear technology became known to man.
I was thinking about this not too long ago, and I was like, I probably just don't know what I'm talking. I just whatever. There's some story, and I just haven't heard it, and I never cared enough to just go look for it. But this is a good point. What's the moment that nuclear technology was discovered? Who discovered it?
And where did it come from exactly? Oh, German scientists in the 30s. Really, when? Name the date. And I've never heard anybody do that. It's very clear to me that these are demonic. I mean, these are evil. Their only purpose is to destroy the innocent, to murder the innocent. They've only been used once. And I think there's an interesting ethical debate about their use with human right or whatever. But if you take 3 steps back, you could say, well, wait a second. If you end up killing, incinerating tens of thousands of civilians, that's just a bad thing. Let's just be honest, that's just a bad thing. And anyone who does that is going to pay consequences. It's just true. And by the way, the fact the second bomb was dropped on the Christian population of Japan, which was majority in Nagasaki, in fact, it was sited in on a church in Nagasaki, was that an accident? Why Nagasaki exactly? And by the way, why has every subsequent American war resulted in disproportionately the deaths of Christians? That would include Vietnam, by the way, where the Catholic population was decimated, up to and including Iraq and Syria, now in Russia. Why is it that our use of force consistently since the end of the Second World War has been against Christians? That's been the effect, to kill Christians. The bombing of the Balkans in the 90s under NATO. Why is that? And I just don't think it's an accident.
What do you guys think of that? Pete Quinones says, keep this narrative going. Tucker knows. Tucker knows. Another Tucker clip. This whole interview here that I'm going to, or the interview that this clip is from, the whole thing is very much worth listening to. But this is pretty remarkable.
So none of them ever get their bar licenses pulled. I mean, this is not a self-policing profession. It's just not.
No. But
they're going after you. But if you represent Trump, then that does trigger the enforcement.
And they are explicitly messaging today, as we're talking right now on the 65 Project, they have proudly, we are running this campaign in the swing states geared where big law lawyers and the partners at these law firms and these lawyers are going to see it, threatening them. Do not represent Trump in any post-election challenge because we will come after your license. And that is clearly an effort to intimidate lawyers against defending anyone's rights, clearly President Trump's rights. It's running in the swing states. They're proudly doing it right now. It's not speculation why they're doing it. They're proudly doing it, and it's having the desired effect. It's very difficult now to get a lawyer who's willing to do election integrity work for Republicans because you're putting yourself in the crosshair of this institutional machine.
So Soros-funded and Mark Elias-aligned group called the 65 Project is running ads in every swing state right now saying that if any attorney represents Donald Trump in regards to election integrity matters, they're going to make sure they get their law licenses taken away. This is happening in the United States of America by the Democratic Party, who is telling you that Donald Trump is Hitler. The sheer brazenness of this, petty level corruption is not this isn't a sign of confident, competent people. This is people who are either so sociopathically disconnected from reality that they're going to end up like walking face first into a forklift deal, or they're just retarded. There's no way that this is exceptionally high time preference behavior. This is a going all in move. This is a like going all in and not totally confident about it, but feeling like you have no choice kind of move. The black pillars want you to say that it's because they're that much in control. But someone who is that much in control would have no reason to do this right now. This doesn't help them with their cause. I guess I won't play this one. I've got to try to drop some of these out, and some of these aren't worthwhile. Kamala tried to start another chant and was really bad. People are chanting her name, and she feels this urge to just be like, no, don't chant my name. Say something else. So she was like, they were chanting Kamala, and she's like, get out the vote, get out the vote. And it was brutal. Kamala Harris did an interview with Subway Takes that was never released because she literally sounded too stupid. So this guy who was going to interview her, Rama, had policy concerns. As a Muslim and an Arab, he objected to the Biden administration's support for Israel's war in Gaza, which has killed more than 41,000 Palestinians, including many women and children, since Hamas's attack on Israel last October, in which 1,200 people, blah, 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 blah. In 3 phone calls with Harris's staff and the Democratic National Committee, he said he had proposed raising the conflict with the vice president, perhaps at the end of the episode, but was rejected. Because he's not a professional journalist, Rama, like other content creators who have interviewed presidential candidates, isn't beholden to common editorial standards enforced by traditional news media outlets, including rules against exclusion of topics as a precondition for an interview. He ultimately agreed to the campaign's terms, reasoning that he could choose not to publish the video if it made him feel uneasy. 2.5 weeks after our initial meeting, I visited Rama again. He seemed harried and wore a faded t-shirt and relaxed fit jeans. The interview with Harris hadn't gone as planned. This is in the New York Times. What happened was a dispute over Harris's take. Rama said he had been told that the vice president would be taking a stand against removing one's shoes on airplanes. When they sat down, however, Harris had surprised him with a different take. Quote, "Bacon is a spice." 2 senior campaign officials said this topic had been raised in advance. Rama and his manager dispute this. Rama, who doesn't eat pork for religious reasons, was taken aback. "I don't know," he says in an unpublished video recording of the interview, his voice rising to an unusually high pitch. Harris elaborates that bits of cooked bacon can be used to enhance a meal like any other seasoning. Think about it. It's pure flavors, she says. So she's like really ham-fistedly forcing this bacon reference in here. Is this because like, oh, guys like bacon, need to get guys. Yeah, I'm going to be the woman talking about bacon and they're going to love it. And she does it to a frickin' Muslim guy. Rama asks Harris if he can use beef or turkey and what kinds of dishes would benefit from bacon. He then pauses the interview and tells her that he doesn't eat it. He asks if they can do the airplane's take instead. But on the advice of a staffer, Harris decides to declare her love of anchovies on pizza, an alternative the campaign had floated earlier in an email. Rama wraps the discussion 1 minute later. Well, he says with an awkward laugh, I'm 100% unsure on both of those. Holy hell! This is published in the New York Times today. Like, they're micromanaging her campaign down to the point when she does an interview with a guy, they're like, you can talk about toppings on pizza. Your favorite toppings on pizza. That's one of the okay to talk about things. I'm very glad you ran that across us so we could confirm whether or not you could talk about favorite toppings on pizza. We wouldn't want to put too much on her plate, you know. All right, so the some Kamala Harris voters are being trolled.
I dressed up like I work for Kamala's campaign, and now I'm gonna deliver immigrants to her supporters.
We're voting for you, don't worry.
Are you? Of course. We do have a surprise, if that's okay, just real fast.
You have a surprise?
We're looking for a place for them to stay. They just came across. They'll sleep on floors. I mean, they're not picky, you know. We have like a 2-year-old, so Hector's good with kids.
Could they just like sleep on your lawn?
They need a place to stay. They just came across.
My teenagers live with me.
Oh, that's fine. Hector, he was dating a teenager like a little bit ago, so they just came across. They don't have papers. We're in support of like the whole border situation, and we're just trying to get them a floor to sleep on. Do you guys want COVID? They said they could survive it.
We work with her, so we know how to say her name.
Earlier you said Kamala. The way she pronounces her name is Kamala. You don't work with her either.
See that car? We have 3 dudes who just came across the border. We're trying to find them a home.
Just say I'm voting for Donald Trump without saying it, okay?
That's a wrong attitude. I said my vote is private.
So you're voting Kamala.
You said it again.
This campaign, I've never seen a political campaign get just so thoroughly dunked on. It is remarkable. Okay, so something... Alex Jones posted this. Investigators have found the source of how illegals are getting registered to vote.
I found the source of exactly where all these illegals are getting put on the voter rolls, and it's going to be made public very, very soon. And I'll tell you right now where it is. And it's an organization called the Electronic Registration Information Center. It's led by a guy named David Becker, who was involved in a scandal while he was a U.S. attorney. And he essentially contacted the city of Boston while he worked for the DOJ, and the DOJ sued Boston over voting rights, claiming that he would help them get out of it. He then worked for PFAW, the People for the American Way, a far-left organization. Then he went on to work for Pew. And with George Soros' money, he created an organization called the Electronic Registration Information Center, which is known as ERIC. And then ERIC contracts with the states to get your DMV records, all that sensitive data that nobody else can get, that's protected under the Driver's Privacy Protection Act. That's where they're finding out the ineligible voters. That's where they're finding out who in the state isn't registered to vote. And their membership agreement prohibits you from disclosing to them who is or is not a citizen. So you send all the information to people that live there. Don't tell them if they're citizens or not. And they pump those names onto the voter rolls, and then they circulate it back. And then they give it to the other organization David Becker found, which is the Center for Election Innovation and Research, which is the recipient of all those Zucker bucks from back in 2020. I found this.
So then, okay, so I've got I'm kind of skipped through a couple of things here. So I've got a bunch of election stuff now. I've got some polling and some fraud cases and other such things. It looks like Elon's PAC America is going to be busing Pennsylvania Republicans to the polls on Tuesday, much like the Pennsylvania Democrats did in 2022 for Fetterman. Dems will likely be busing their own voters as well, but the fact that the GOP has responded is big. Remember when there was a Republican Party that wasn't really effective at political campaigning? Yeah, this is... I mean, they're basically kind of doing the bare minimum, but they're doing the bare minimum really, really well. Yeah, dueling buses. And relatedly, Real Trump News, which is kind of funny. You're going to make a Real Trump News account and then kind of get something wrong. So it shows that you're kind of not real, but whatever. I'll take it. Breaking, Laura Trump and the RNC are preparing an election monitoring force of over 100,000 poll watchers and 500 lawyers for tomorrow's election. Do you approve this? Yes or no? So it's just it's like a slop account. But she says, slight correction. Our force is 230,000 poll observers and poll workers strong and 500 attorneys in every battleground state. Our message is crystal clear. Do not cheat. If you do, we will find you and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. This is the chair of the RNC. And if you doubt her sincerity, imagine what will happen to her if they don't win this election. She's, of all people, she's one of the most personally invested in it. So this is that Iowa poll. This is the thing I have for that. The woman who did that poll, the so-called Ann Seltzer, the so-called polling messiah responsible for the Kamala +3 Iowa poll, doesn't understand that the D and the R in her crosstabs stand for Democrat and Republican. So real quick, the tweet that they're looking at here, This is comparing. On the left is what her poll had for the demographic. On the right is what the 2020 exit polls were for that demographic. So for her, she had overall D+3. 2020 exit polling was R+8. So there's an 11-point move left. Senior women have gone from D+6 to D+35. Senior men have gone from R+32 to R+2. Independents have gone from D+4 to D+7. So Republican men have moved much further to the left than independents have. Women have gone from D+3 to D+20. Men have gone from R+19 to R+14. Rurals went from R+28 to R+20. Suburbs went from R+3 to D+23. No college went from R+17 to R+12, and college went from D+7 to D+30. They're just nonsense numbers. But then when he asked her, when Mark Halperin here asked her to comment on it, I'm not going to play the whole video so I can get through all the tabs I want to, but when he asked her to comment on this, she kind of stuttered and looked at it and she says, well, I don't know what the that D means, the D and the R. It's kind of hard to understand this information presented this way. This is the standard way that polling people present this kind of information. So the Iowa poll was purely designed as a demoralization device. There's nothing to it whatsoever. This is from the New York Times. It says, across these final polls, white Democrats were 16% likelier to respond than white Republicans. That's a larger disparity than our earlier polls this year, and it's not much better than our final polls in 2020, even with the pandemic over. It raises the possibility that the polls could underestimate Mr. Trump yet again. So when they do these polls, I've said this many times, I'll say it again, when they do these polls, not only do they oversample Democrats intentionally, if you look at the actual breakdowns of their polls, Democrats are usually like 35%, somewhere between 35 and 50%. So they oversample them. And then the mechanism of polling itself is predisposed to sampling Democrats. So whenever you read the polls, you have to automatically adjust them probably 3 to 4 points to the left, or sorry, to the right, to capture what's closer to the actual sentiment. Councilwoman from New York City, she says, just spoke to a Democrat consultant friend on the ground in a swing state who told me I could repeat some of what we discussed. Here's what I can tell you, take it with a grain of salt if you like, but I think he's being straight with me. Nobody really thinks Kamala is going to win at this point. Canvassing is going poorly almost everywhere with few exceptions. The party is getting their high follower influencer accounts to push out motivational stories just to keep morale up and get them over the finish line with some dignity, but it's not great. The Iowa poll was good to give a shot of adrenaline to volunteers, but nobody important believes those numbers are real. Of all the swing states, they're hoping Michigan comes through and possibly a late-night miracle in Pennsylvania, but nobody is counting on either of them. They don't think Trump is actually going to flip Virginia or New Hampshire, but the fact that they've even entered the conversation is indicative of how bad things could potentially turn out. The early vote counts are just beyond what they expected to see for Republican turnout and has Democrat strategists rethinking whether it was a good idea to make such a big push to broaden early voting in the first place. Republican low-propensity voters are activated in a way nobody really expected, and the polls didn't capture it. Yes, it's possible those early Republicans broke Democrat in an unprecedented way, but very unlikely. The campaign has switched entirely to woman versus man messaging, as liberal white women are the only reliable voter bloc they can even identify at this point. Priority now is saving some down-ballot races and flipping the House so the night isn't a total embarrassment for Democrats. Like I said, take this all with a grain of salt as this is secondhand information, but this is what I was told, and I think it tracks with other things we know. So this is the Battleground poll averages. Decision Desk HQ, The Hill. So Florida, out of 31 polls, Trump is plus 6.7, and it's moved Republican 2 points since last month. Nevada, out of 54 polls, has Trump plus 1.8, and it's gone R plus 2.8 in the last month. Georgia, out of 65 polls, has Trump plus 2, and it's gone R plus 1.9 since in the last month. Arizona, out of 71 polls, has Trump plus 2.7, and it's gone R plus 1.6 since last month. Pennsylvania, 104 polls has Trump up plus 0.6, and it's gone Republican 1.7 since last month. So consistently about 2 points across all these states. A 2-point move in the last month. Yeah, in the last month. Wisconsin has Trump plus 0.3. And it's gone R plus 1.2, or R plus 1.2. North Carolina, out of 70 polls, Trump is up plus 1.7, and it's moved Republican 0.6 since last month. And then Michigan is at 79. With 79 polls, Trump is up plus 0.2. So again, if you want to adjust these based on basically the bias that's baked into them, you would add somewhere between 2 and 4 points to that to the right. This is where averaging all of the polling, all of the polling that exists, basically, this is about as pessimistic as it gets for Trump. Again, polling being, taking it with a massive grain of salt because it's polling. This is where it stands. Any one of these numbers represents not just a win, but a win in probably over 312 electoral college votes and winning the popular vote by probably 3%. That's what everyone in the biz, that's what everyone is reading in the data, that's what everyone's expecting. Eric Doherty says, new memo confirms that Democrats are facing a huge turnout issue in the battlegrounds. This is a memo from the Trump campaign. In Pennsylvania, urban turnout is down 381,000 votes, and female turnout is down 450,000 votes. In Wisconsin, urban is down 100,000, and female is down 238,000. So this was to the Trump campaign senior leadership team from Tim Saylor of Grassroots Targeting and, chief data consultant. So it's really hard to see this here. And I don't really have time to read through the whole thing, but I want to highlight these things here. I'm going to post it in the master thread so you can read the whole thing. But in Arizona, urban turnout is down, female turnout is down, rural turnout is up. This is all compared to 2020. Georgia, urban turnout is down, female turnout is down, rural turnout is up. Michigan, urban turnout is down, female turnout is down, rural turnout is up. North Carolina, urban turnout is down, female turnout is down. Makes me wonder, rural turnout is up. Nevada, urban turnout is down, female turnout is down. I don't know about rural, because they don't mention it here. But Pennsylvania, urban and female turnout is down. Wisconsin, urban and female turnout is down. There's a theme here. Over and over and over. What was I going to say about this? So there's been something like, I think I saw there's been something like 101 million votes cast so far. And there's been 70 million votes cast so far. And at this point in 2020, there had been like 101 million. So there's like 31 and something million votes that's essentially missing. And as far as overwhelmingly it's among Democrats. And overwhelmingly, it's among Democratic low-propensity voters. The Democrat high-propensity voters are turning out. The low-propensity voters are not. So what they're basically looking for is some sudden infusion of new voters that have never showed up before voting on Election Day, who usually don't vote on Election Day and or don't vote very often. That's their Hail Mary. Which sets up very nicely from a rhetorical perspective for us to have an excruciatingly annoying next couple of months, which is still what I'm predicting. I expect Trump to win, but it's going to be messy. I don't think it'll be violent. I think it'll be messy. Eric Doherty, breaking. Arizona Republicans again expand their early voting lead, now to nearly 200,000 voters. So Republicans are at just under 1 million voters. Democrats are at about 750,000, and then other is at 625K. Now, just for context, Republicans are up 200,000. just for context, these were the early voting totals in Arizona in 2020. Now, this is the totals, not the totals through today. It was the totals overall, but we're pretty close. So total ballots returned 2.4 million. Democrats were at 923,000. Democrats currently are at 758,000. So they've dropped like 175,000. Republicans, at this point, or in the early voting in 2020 in Arizona, Republicans had 914,000 total votes. They currently have 954,000. So the Republicans are already ahead of where their early vote threshold was before. The Democrats are like 200,000 votes behind where they were before. And the election day voting is going to favor Republicans. Unless it completely breaks with like every trend ever of all time. I'm going to blow through some of these kind of quick here because I want to save time for all the Trump videos afterwards. But Arizona Secretary of State Adrian Fontes fails to attend yesterday's federal court evidentiary hearing on over 218,000 plus registered voters who cannot prove citizenship. Angered federal judge Stephen Logan questions Fontes' legal counsel, Arizona Assistant Attorney General. So the judge says, just one moment. Is there anything the secretary could do before November the 5th as it relates to determining if there are any ballots that have already been cast by any members of acceptant registrants? And the lawyer says, Your Honor, I don't. And he says, you don't know? And she says, I don't know. I think it's highly unlikely. And he says, why isn't the secretary here? And she says, well, Your Honor, because it's 4 days before an election and this... He says, why isn't one of the secretary's lawyers here that sees him every day and works with him every day? And she says, Your Honor, this hearing was not, it wasn't clear to us that this was to be an evidentiary hearing, that witnesses were required. We can, and he says, you don't know? And she says, I do know that everyone working in the secretary's office is incredibly busy right now. Obviously, appearing in federal court is very important. She should not have said that. He says, I know my courtroom deputy is incredibly busy. My court reporter is incredibly busy. The 3 lawyers behind you, I'm sure they are all incredibly busy. The nature of being a professional and being gainfully employed, working and earning a wage that you pay taxes on by virtue of what we do, I think we are all incredibly busy. But I wish I was in a position to tell the Ninth Circuit or the Supreme Court when something gets sent back to me. I would have done better, but I'm incredibly busy. I don't think the Ninth Circuit cares that I'm incredibly busy because at the end of the day, under Article 3, just like the Secretary of State, I have responsibilities that I need to take care of as it relates to my job. And this is the judge, Stephen Paul Logan, born in Tacoma, Washington, went to the University of Louisville, was appointed by Barack Obama in 2014. This is from this transcript here. This Adrian Fontes, this is one of the deep dives I went into. This Adrian Fontes dude is stinks to high hell. He's like almost certainly a front for like cartel activity or something like that. The dude is corrupt as the day is long. Maricopa County has confirmed that they received up to 90,000 voter registration forms from third-party groups on registration deadline day, and an estimated 30 to 40,000 forms were incomplete or damaged. He says, I have a strong suspicion that this was fraud stopped in its tracks. This is what I think. This is George Bahai's tweets. He's another one of these. He's kind of a slop tweeter, but I think he does have some connections, and he's pretty well plugged in and has been following all of this because that's kind of become the nature of it. It's like it's kind of like a reality TV show playing out in front of you, and so the grifters who actually really enjoy it and are really getting into it, they're the ones who've been following everything really closely, and they've got big audiences, so they get a lot of connections from people. He says, this is what I think their playbook is. Democrat-linked organizations get paid lots of money to collect registrations. Their goal isn't to get legitimate vote registrants, but rather to get as many random people signed up as possible. Then they mail those in on deadline day with the expectation that officials would be too busy to double check. And then when the dubious names appear on the voters' rolls, they request ballots and fraud occurs. My guess is based on what happened in the 2020 election in Muskegon, Michigan, or Muskegon. I don't remember how it's pronounced. If Cooper's watching, then he'll yell at me. When a Democrat-funded group dropped off thousands of fake registrations in one day at the clerk's office with the same handwriting, counterfeit signatures, made-up addresses, etc. The FBI is still investigating, aka covering it up. The fact that these things are being caught and announced before the election is very good news. Yeah, this whole thing he's describing here, It's not a big surprise to me that there's 31 million fewer ballots cast this year compared to last year. Ryan Drudusky had some data here, and I just wanted to get the highlights of this. Pennsylvania ballots returned as of 11/4. The change from the end of 2022, GOP is up 324,000 votes. Democrats are up 140,000 votes. So GOP is up like 1.5 times. 2.5 times. And then the change from the end of 2020, GOP's down about 31,000 votes. Democrats are down 721,000 votes. So again, low Democrat turnout. There's lower turnout overall, but Democrat turnout has just absolutely cratered. Let's see. Overall, it was a pretty slow day. Voters are just trickling at this point, with most voters probably waiting to return their ballots on election day. 82.1% of GOP absentees have been returned. 83% of Democrat absentees were returned, and 73% of ND absentees returned. Democrats have 203,000 outstanding absentees left. Republicans have 128,000. NDs have 77,000. And then this point here, he says, last post about Pennsylvania, the intensity at which Republicans have voted early this year compared to 2020 and 2022 is staggering. In 2020, GOP led Dems in 8 counties. In 2022, GOP led Dems in 2 counties. In 2024, GOP led Dems in 40 counties. Continuing on over here to some stuff on Georgia. This was from November 1st, 3 days ago. Georgia GOP sues Fulton County over it planning to illegally accept ballots in person this weekend after in-person voting ends. This action would be entirely seated in a deep blue part of the state. So they sued on this. This is a blatant violation of Georgia law, which states, quote, all drop boxes shall be closed when the advanced voting period ends. This must be stopped immediately, and those willfully breaking Georgia law should be held accountable. To make matters worse, the 4 election office locations are situated in areas of the county that will clearly favor Democrat candidates. We're calling on state officials to take immediate action to stop this and maintain confidence in Georgia's election integrity. Fulton County's patently illegal acts give us no choice but to immediately file suit. So then, due to massive legal and public pressure, Democrat election officials in Gwinnett County, Georgia, have halted their illegal ballot collection sites. They tried to pull a fast one to help Kamala. The RNC and Georgia GOP also placed big pressure on Governor Brian Kemp to do his job. This is very good news. Thank God we're stopping the cheating before it happens. Next, we have to do the same thing in Fulton and Cobb. Then he said this, I just received some delicious news from Georgia. Kamala Harris is absolutely toast. One of the observers who watched over one of the illegal ballot collection sites in Atlanta told me that the location he was at only collected a total of 16 ballots the entire day. The locations were unlawfully set up in the bluest neighborhoods in and around Atlanta, only to get a whopping 16 ballots. My source texted me, I think they were hoping we wouldn't be there so they could say thousands. And then another update. Breaking, this is from Eric Doherty, GOP wins case against Deep Blue Cobb County, Georgia, which wanted to accept 3,000 mail-in votes after the Election Day deadline. RNC Chair Watley says, we just got word that we won the case. Election Day is Election Day. Noticing a theme here. So this is an interesting one. This person, named Skibbed Black Hole, Tango November Delta, Cascadian Rocketmonger, says, okay, I've seen a few people posting Washington Secretary of State ballot data, so I'm going to call it. Trump will flip the state of Washington, rendering all the East Coast and Great Lakes swing state drama completely irrelevant. Now, I grew up in Washington, and what did I say here? I said, most people would be surprised just how much of it is deep red. I'll be stunned if the state goes for Trump, but somehow at the same time, it isn't out of the question. So here's the case he makes. First, I will assume that Trump voters are not less likely to turn out in 2024 than they were in 2020. We have a more energetic presidential campaign, better messaging, a much better run Washington GOP state party, credit to Chairman Jim Walsh and the county party chairs, and a much tighter gubernatorial race. I have not seen anything in my travels around Washington, at the RNC in Milwaukee, or on the internet that makes me genuinely believe that. Every single person other than actual Democrat Party candidates and operatives claiming Trump has an enthusiasm gap needs to be audited by the Federal Elections Commission because they're sure taking money from someone. Second, I will assume that Democrats tend to vote earlier than Republicans do on average. Washington does not publish data on this, so this assumption necessarily relies on comparisons to other states, which is a bit weaker, but I have not seen one state where Republicans ever weight their voting earlier than on Election Day, not even California. voting earlier rather than on election day, not even California. With those assumptions disclosed, let's look at the numbers compared to 2020. In 2020, the state of Washington recorded 2,369,612 votes for Joe Biden and 1,584,651 votes for Donald Trump. As of 4 days, Friday, before the election in 2020, there were 3,176,060 ballots returned, compared to 2,362,291 ballots as of this past Friday, November 1st, 2024. Let's ask our friend Python 3 to run those numbers. So he takes the total ballots in 2020 minus Joe Biden's share, divided by Joe Biden's share minus Trump's share. The turnout collapse in Washington exceeds the margin of the 2020 election. Assuming no statistically significant decline in Trump voters relative to 2020, no suspicious 3 a.m. drop of 800,000 ballots, and that more Trump voter ballots will trickle in through Tuesday, Trump wins the state of Washington. This also strongly suggests all 4 Let's Go Washington ballot initiatives will pass. If these results replicate across the country, we're looking at an extinction level event for Democrats. And so then he just has the numbers, showing the numbers that he's working with here. I'm going to post this so you guys can look at it to see, but this is what the map would look like. In that case, we're looking at 336 Republican Electoral College votes. Now, do I think that Washington is going to actually go red? I don't. I do think that it's way redder than people appreciate. It's like outside the urban areas in Washington, it's like the deep South. It's very it's Chud country through and through. But the population ratios there between like King County, essentially King, and some of Pierce, and the population difference between the urban areas and the rural areas is just so drastic that I'll be surprised if Washington goes red, but I don't think you can completely rule it out. And if Washington goes red, Oregon definitely will go red, and Michigan will definitely go red, and New Hampshire will probably go red. I mean, hell, last I saw it, Republicans are ahead in New Jersey. So if you were looking at getting to a complete red wave, Nixon style victory, this would be the route to that. I'm expecting that there's going to be some states that they're just going to have to concede because they're going to need to focus their lawfare efforts on particular areas. And so there's going to be some states that Trump actually got, there was actual popular support for him, but he didn't win it because of lawfare. And then there's going to be other states that they're able to preserve. That's kind of what I'm anticipating. So I think there's going to be states that they would have won, but they don't actually. But I still think he's going to wind up winning. And in Seattle, this is from running for state representative because of decades of failed leadership in Olympia, Lori Tice, I assume is that how she says it. She says, the Vietnamese community loves Donald Trump and freedom. We're down here in the heart of Rainier Valley, Seattle, where the hundreds of drivers honking in support is overwhelming. People want liberty. There are a ton of Asians in Seattle. A ton of Asians and a ton of Indians, which are both demographics that are, they have a lot of love for Trump. So again, not completely ruling it out, but also not predicting it. Jonathan Cho said many in Seattle's Vietnamese community escaped the dangers of communism. That's why they're all in on Trump. And here's a video of him.
Myrtle and Martin Luther King Way, King Street. What's up? What's up? I voted Trump. I'm good to go. I'm just taking it.
Asians are just such funny people, man. $10 super chat from the Lion. Thank you, my friend. Says, do you think they will force Joe to step down between November and January and put Kamala in as the first woman president by fiat? I don't know. I think I could definitely see it. I don't really think that it makes a big difference either way. It's going to be so obviously seen as just like a ceremonial thing. I don't think it really makes a big difference, but it will definitely be a lot of fun if they do. Like just go all out, blow all their political capital on something like that just to get a token thing for the cat lady millennials. That'd be pretty funny. Oh man, chicken teriyaki shops on every corner in Pierce County. Yes, that's one thing I really miss about Washington is the teriyaki restaurants. They just are so, so good. All right, so Christian Hines says Trump's internals in Virginia have him down by 2. 2. Christian has been a little more pessimistic than some people. He's been pretty consistent that Trump's not going to win Virginia, but he has Harris by 4 3/4. And this has him, this is like wildly optimistic to like all of the regime polling outlets. So he said, this explains why Trump has made a last minute play for Virginia. His campaign clearly sees something. A lot of people in the comments are asking for a source. My source was the same lobbyist friend who texted me this, that he expected to, he was seeing Kamala around 4 points. I shared this one a couple episodes ago. All right, let's get some of these videos here. Oilfield Rando tweeted out, or he didn't tweet this, he shared this because here's the context. I've never in my 40 years of life seen the Orthodox Jewish community push a presidential candidate as if it was a local one. This is a Yiddish song being played on trucks going around Rockland County in New York. Even if you don't speak Yiddish, you'll still understand who it's for.
Trump, your vote. Take a few minutes of your time and vote for Donald Trump. Your vote will show support and will benefit us for the future. Ganz stolzes Ruhe, vereinigt mit der Ruhe zu spitzen. Donald Trump, der Präsident. Vote Donald Trump, bitte vote Donald Trump, bitte.
Andrew says, this is not a gambling podcast. This is not gambling advice. I'm just sharing with you something my friend said. I think the way to make money off of this data is to assume there will be a red mirage on election night where Kamala's odds will trade very low. Then we get the fortification wave at 3 a.m. when her stock will pop, and then we'll sell our positions on the park. I think that's a very interesting thing that Andrew is saying there. And this is not a Polymarket ad. I know they're doing the fake Polymarket ads, but or not fake, but the ones that are made to look organic, but they're totally not. Here's our president.
Donald Trump has always loved this country.
I would love and I would dedicate my life to this country. This country with the proper leadership can go on to become what it once was.
He's always put us first.
I think people are tired of seeing the United States ripped off. That's why it bothers me so much that when we give this kind of money to the wealthiest countries in the world, and yet for our own people, the homeless, the sick, the poor, the farmers, who are really going through hell right now, those people we're not helping.
Donald Trump has always been there for America.
Somebody has to help this country. If it were me, that'd be fine. I could do it.
How would you like to be remembered?
Well, as somebody that's contributed something to the United States.
Donald Trump has always fought for America. And he always will.
My president. Trump has added the golf swing to his dance moves. Game changer. Pray for Kamala. We got to savor these, man. We got to savor them. So NBC allowed Trump to air a 90-second advertisement tonight during Sunday Night Football and NASCAR per FCC regulations in order to provide equal time to what Kamala Harris received on Saturday Night Live. Average SNL audience is 5 to 7 million viewers, mostly already liberal. Average Sunday Night Football audience is 21 million people. This is the ad they got.
Hello to our great sports fans, and I hope you're having a fantastic time. We're 2 days away from the most important election in the history of our country. We've got to save our country, and it needs saving. It's in very bad shape. The worst economic numbers in generations were just announced 2 days ago. We're losing jobs. We're losing everything, including viability. We're going to end up in a depression based on what's been happening. We've never seen anything like it, at least for the last 40 years. We have to straighten out our country. We have to close our borders. We have to lower our taxes. We have to get rid of inflation, and we're going to do it. Just remember, Kamala and her friends broke it. I'll fix it. Most important election in the history of our country. Go and vote.
Broke. Opposite sex notices your gains. Woke. Bros notice your gains. Bespoke. Trump notices your gains.
Look at the muscles of this guy. Excuse me. Could you stand up? Look at that guy. You in the beautiful white shirt. Would you look at this guy? Holy mackerel. I'm looking at him. I always wanted to look like that. I just didn't want to do the work. You look good. Don't let anyone stop you. You look good. Good to have you, too.
That dude's feet aren't going to touch the ground for the rest of his life, man. Here's another one. I've got a couple clips here of Trump talking about his weave.
So, just to finish it off, because I'm the greatest weaver, you know, we weave. They used to say, oh, he's rambling. No, I'm not rambling. It's like genius, okay? I don't ramble. I'll let you know when I ramble, and then we'll have to talk. No, I cover different territories. It always ends up back in the right location. So, just to finish it off, because I'm the greatest weaver.
What was that?
When I ramble, and then we'll have to talk. No, I cover different territories. It always ends up back in the...
The man is just a meme incarnate. Here's another one.
But we are now more popular. This is the weave, you know, a little weave, right? You know, they used to say, these are stupid people, they used to say, he rambled. I don't ramble. I do a weave. You know what a weave is? It's a story. And as you're telling the story, you realize that there's a little offshoot, go up here. But the key is then you have to come back. And then you're doing the story, you're getting down to bottom line, and boom, you do another little weave. Then sometimes you do a weave off a weave. It's here, and then back. It's called a weave. And one guy got it right, a writer. They said, Trump is a totally brilliant guy. He said, I've never seen anything like. Because you always have to end up in the right place, or then you're rambling, you know? Then you're rambling. But no, I have a very fertile brain. But it's the weave, and we do it.
Very fertile
and it
brain.
covers a lot of territory. This way you tell one story, and you cover, really it's like 15 subplots. But you get down to the final answer. And
The great thing about it is that's exactly what he does. It's like, that's exactly it. And it actually is brilliant. Here's more great advice from our president. Listen up, boys.
then bad things could be happening. You'll be very depressed. And we don't want to have depression, right? There's no depression. You know the best way to stop depression? Work your ass off. Work your ass off. You don't have time. You want to work so hard that you don't have time for depression. But I didn't come here looking for your money. I don't need your money. I don't want your money. All I want you to do is get out and vote. Get out and vote. Tuesday. You vote.
Get out and vote. And also, check out Axios Fitness Coaching. The current moment we live in is one that prioritizes the inverse of whatever makes men strong, healthy, and capable. The quality of our food continues to decline, plastics construct everything around us, and the virtues of beauty and strength are continuously denigrated by spiteful mutants. To sustain ourselves, we have to take a pathway of action that cultivates and revitalizes our spirit. Return to being builders of culture instead of consumers of a cheap synthetic excuse for life. That pathway will require an adoption of physical discipline, and this is what Axios Fitness Coaching seeks to help bring about. Axios Fitness Coaching is a premium resource for holistic strength and conditioning services. Axios offers standalone training programs as well as individual coaching options should your needs require a more specific approach. Axios is best known for the training club, an exclusive community that prioritizes accountability, technique, diet, and nutrition. Everything you need to take action against the decay of modernity. By joining the club, you get access to over 20 different programs that can be personally tailored to your strength levels, available equipment, and injury history. By completing the intake history, you can see if you're a good candidate for the training club or any of their other services. It's long past time we take our health back in our own hands. Without action, there is only degeneration. So, if you guys would like to talk to Axios Training Club to see how they can help you, go fill out the intake survey. There's a link in the description on the video here, or you can get a little bonus. If you join the King Pill Discord right now at kingpill.com, link is also in the description, then if you join at the Lord or the King tier, then you will also get 5 free training templates. So you'll get to download their app to get access to those training templates. You get those as a little bonus, a thank you for being a part of the King Pill Discord server. So go fill out the intake survey at the link in the description, or join the King Pill Discord, kingpill.com, at the Lord or the King level, and you will get the intake survey and you get the 5 free training templates. So you can take it for a little test drive and see how it works for you. See what your experience with Axios is like. Very proud to advertise for them. I'll tell you guys this. If you have a business, if you have some sort of service or product that you offer already, or if you've been thinking about doing it but you don't know how you would advertise for it, then you should hit me up, because we are going to have some advertising opportunities here in the near future, and we would absolutely love to be able to put our advertising focus on amplifying our guys' businesses. We're expecting there to be some great opportunities for us economically in the near future, and we want our guys helping out our guys so we can keep the money in the family, so to speak. So just hit me up. Send me a DM on Twitter. You can join the King Pill Discord and talk to me there on Twitter at RealKingPilled. All right, couple more videos here, and then I got to get out of here. This one is quite a rhetorical, escalation. This is very rhetorically strong from Trump.
She's a dumb person, but the party, but she's not going to run. She's a vessel. She's a vessel, and she's just a vessel. They didn't want him, and then they found out he's perfect. He's perfect because he didn't know what the hell he was doing. They got away. But this is a group of people, large group of people, larger than people think, but it's a very demonic party. It's become that way. The people aren't. The people, Democrats, regular Democrats aren't. Most of them agree with what I'm saying. But we do need people to say it, and we have to have it. And if it's not said, and then they're going to fight over it. They're going to call you a horrible person, and all of the things that they call you, conspiracy theorist. He's a conspiracy theorist. They don't tell you that they cheated. Think of it. They spied on my campaign, and they refused to even acknowledge it to this day. But people acknowledge it.
Demonic. That's a strong statement. Team Trump posted this on TikTok 1 day ago. It has 30 million views and 4.2 million likes. You guys ready for it? You guys ready to get in the spirit? It's coming.
How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
Well, guess what? We're saying Merry Christmas again.
Rocking around the Christmas tree at the Christmas party hop. Mistletoe hung where you can see every couple tries to stop.
How dare we speak Merry?
Yesterday, during church, during the homily, Eastwood let our priest know very loudly to the entire church that he and mommy put up the Christmas tree the day before. He was very happy to have his Christmas tree out. And Amy was like, wow, kid, thanks for ratting me out. So now I just did the same thing and ratted her out to all of you guys. Yes, she did actually say that. This is an actual real clip from Kamala. This one here. This is my president right here.
Between you people, don't talk to me that way. You're just a lightweight. Don't talk to me that way. Don't talk to, I'm the president of the United States. Don't ever talk to the president that way.
What you guys got to do, go to the master thread that I tweet out after the show with all these clips. Go grab this one and listen to this first thing when you get up tomorrow. That'll give you a nice little shot of adrenaline for you to dominate the day. All right, and here's my last Trump clip. Come on, share the screen. Trump just dropped his most chilling closing ad of 2024. This ad is a knockout.
Nothing worth doing ever came easy.
Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation.
Never, ever quit. Never quit. Adversity makes you stronger. Don't give in, don't back down, and never stop doing what you know is right.
They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedoms. They're not coming after me, they're coming after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way.
When they couldn't beat him, they tried to bankrupt him.
President Trump is back in a New York City courtroom.
When that didn't work, they tried to put him in federal prison.
Raided by the FBI.
When that didn't work, they even tried to kill him.
They just tried to kill President Trump.
Donald Trump still stands, ready to fight, ready to win, and ready to make America great again.
This is Donald Trump's house, brother.
This election, we all get to choose. I'm going to choose real American leadership and a real American badass. The 45th and soon to be 47th President Donald J. Trump.
Starting on day one, we will defeat inflation quickly and we will make America affordable again. I will cut your energy costs in half. It's time for the working man and woman to finally catch a break. We are going to bring back the American dream, bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. When I'm back in the White House, we will restore world peace, and it will be again peace through strength. I will launch the largest deportation program in American history. I will put these vicious and bloodthirsty criminals in jail or kick them the hell out of our country. November 5th, 2024 will be Liberation Day in America.
We all salute the same great American flag. Our best days are yet to come.
Together, we will make America great again.
I fucking love being an American, yo. You guys better be voting tomorrow. If you haven't voted already, you better be voting tomorrow. Just go do it. Get your fat ass off the couch and go vote for our guys. And take this energy with you. You guys know, if you follow me on Twitter, you know I have the Friday post. I missed it the last few days or last few weeks, but I got it again this week, and I got a new one. Bosch. This guy's dropping bangers. This is the last clip before Hulk. I'm going to play this one for you guys. Do me a favor and hit the like button. We got 124 still watching. We're at 87 likes. 13 more likes. Hit the like button and listen to our guy.
Good morning and happy Friday, you lovely, lovely people. Now we've made it to the end of the week. We've been grafting double up, but you know the rules. It's time to park up the vans, lock up the warehouse, log off the computers and get ourselves to the pub on this lovely Friday afternoon and enjoy a well-deserved pint with our friends and family. But first, we finish the week on a high. We go out and graft hard. We go and give it 110%. And of course I'm starting the day in Dino's with a lovely beef stew, some lovely bread and butter, and I'm going to smash this down, mate, and I'm going to have a great day. You know what? I'm going to have a great day. Keep my face to the sunshine and the shadows fall behind me, and that's all we can do. In a world of doom and gloom, in a world where the news is always telling us how bad it is, trust me, it ain't. It's a great world out there. It's going to be a great day. Just believe in yourself and keep on smiling. All you can do is do your best and keep on carrying on. Don't let anyone hold you back. Just keep on being yourself and make yourself proud. That's it. So, happy Friday. Have a blinder. I'll see you all in the pub this afternoon. Abash.
Abash. Keep the sunshine at my face and the shadows fall behind me. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you guys showing up for the ASTROLABE. I'll be back tomorrow with another episode, the last pre-election episode. And I will also be tomorrow evening on the Old Glory Club live streaming our reaction to the debate. We're probably going to be going late into the night, so come join us for that. And if you don't have any other election night plans, you want to come watch it and listen to us talking about it, then that's the place to be. Get your fat ass up and join the Discord, brothers. I now give you guys Hulk. Hit the like button. Join the Discord, kingpilled.com. Follow me on Twitter at RealKingPilled. And I will see you guys tomorrow.
They're my hero. And they tried to kill the next president of the United States. Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America